If the distance between the two plates point charge becomes half, then force between them becomes 4 times. Select the only wrong statement. An electrically neutral body is repelled both positively and negatively charged bodies. Select the correct statement. The electric lines of force have no physical existence. They expand laterally and contact longitudinally. They do not cross each other and group together intersected. All the above statements are true. If the distance between the two point charges becomes half, the force between them becomes 4 times. Two electric charges of so degrees C is 30 centimeters apart from another charge solution. No degree electric force between them is 900 and two charges are placed at a certain distance. If the magnitude of each charge is doubled, the force will become 4 times of its original value. An electric field can deflect none of the above. Electric flux linked with a surface will be maximum when the surface is held perpendicular to the electric field. The electric lines of force are imaginary. If free space between the plates of a capacitor is replaced by electric, the potential difference decreases, but both capacitance and energy increase. A hollow metallic sphere of 8 cm diameter is charged with 4 cross 10 Hc. The potential on its surface will be 9000 volts. Potential difference is the work done in moving unit positive charge from one point to another against electric intensity. The value of the capacitance depends upon the geometry of the capacitor. A 5 microfarad capacitor has a potential difference across its plates of 200 volts. The charge on the capacitor is 10 power 5 coulomb. Equivalent capacitance is greater than individual capacitance in parallel combination. The number of electrons in one coulomb charge is equal to 6.2 cross 10 to the power 1018. As a unit of the permittivity of free space is n-1 m power -2 c square. Value of ER for various dielectric is always larger than unit. Which one of the following can be taken as the measure of the electric intensity V by A? Electric flux due to point charge plus Q is Q by epsilon naught. N by C is equal to V by M. Photocopier and inkjet printer are dealt in electrostatic. If a charge rod is brought closer to a gas filled balloon, then radius increase. If metallic conductor is charged negatively, then its weight increase for a while. If two charges are increased by 2 times, then force increase 4 times. If mica sheet is placed between the plate of a capacitor, the capacity increase. If an electron is allowed to move along the field in a non-uniform electric field, then it will follow straight line. Selenium becomes a conductor in light, so it behaves like photodiode. In a charged capacitor, the energy resides in electric field. A capacitor is a perfect insulator for direct current. A charge of 0.10 coulomb accelerated through a potential difference of 1000 volt requires kinetic energy 100 joule. Electric intensity at infinite distance from the point charge is 0. In a non-uniform electric field, a polar molecule will experience both series and parallel combination. Two oppositely charged balls A and B attract third conducting ball C when placed near them turn by turn. Then ball C must be electrically neutral. Capacitor is to have an energy content of 20 joule. It must be placed across a potential difference of 2 volt. A purchased electron volt electron has a speed of 3 cross 10 6 meter per second. Equal potential are parallel to one another. The metallic spheres A and B of radius 2 meter and 4 meter respectively carry the same charge 4 cross 10 Hc. If the spheres are connected by a copper wire, charge will flow from A to B. Two similar charges, each of one coulomb, placed in air 1 meter apart, repel each other with a force 9 cross Newton. A closed surface contains two equal and opposite charges. The net electric flux from the surface will be zero. Electric intensity, being a vector quantity, always points along the direction of force experienced by a unitary positive charge. An electric charge at rest produces only an electric field. The force per unit charge is known as electric intensity. Electric force between two-point charge in air or vacuum is F. If we replace air or vacuum by an insulator dielectric of relative permittivity C, the force between the charge will decrease. The minimum charge on any object cannot be less than 1.6 cross 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. When we rub a glass rod with silk cloth, then glass rod acquires positive charge while silk acquires negative charge. A capacitor in a circuit becomes hot and ultimately exploded due to wrong connection. Which type of capacitor it could be? Electrolytic capacitor. Which of the following capacitor is marked for polarity? Electrolytic. The power dissipated in a pure capacitor is zero. When a dielectric slab is introduced in a parallel plate capacitor, the potential difference between plates will decrease. A capacitor consists of two conductors separated by an insulator. A capacitor is usually available in the form of rolled foil. 3. Absolute permittivity of free space is given by artificial at H1 cross 1 into T10 F by M. Which of the following statement is incorrect? A 6 dot microcapacitor color coded white, green, black, and red and yellow has the capacitance value of 500 PL. Which of the following capacitance can be used for temperature compensation? Ceramic capacitor. The value of dielectric constant for vacuum is taken as 1. While testing a capacitor with ohm meter, if the capacitor shows charging but the final resistance reading is appreciably less than normal, it could be concluded that the capacitor is leaky. Electric field intensity is a quantity vector. Energy stored in the electric field of a capacitor C when charged from a DC source of voltage V is equal to joule CV square. When 4-volt EMF is applied across a 1 farad capacitor, it will store energy of 8 joules. Dielectric constant for mica is nearly 3 to 8. What is the value of the capacitance that must be connected in parallel with 50 picofarad condenser to make an equivalent capacitance of 50 picofarad? So picofarad. The capacitor preferred for a high frequency circuit is mica capacitor. If a 6 microfarad capacitor is charged to 200 microvolt, the charge in a column will be 1200 microcoulomb. Which of the following material has least value of dielectric constant? Oil. For closer tolerance, which of the following capacitor is usually preferred? Mica capacitor. Paper capacitor usually have a tolerance of plus minus 10%. The surface integral of the normal component of the electric displacement d or any closed surface equals the charge enclosed by the surface. The above statement is associated with Gauss's laws. Capacitor can be used only for DC electrolytic. The dielectric constant relative permittivity of glass is given by 5 to 100. The electrostatic force between two charges of 1 coulomb each and placed at a distance of 0.5 m will be 36 cross 109 Newton. Dielectric strength of mica is 50 to 200 kV mm. Capacitors are mainly used for radio frequency tuning air. When the dielectric is homogeneous, the potential gradient is uniform. Capacitors are used in transistor circuit is ceramic. The inverse of capacitor is called elastance. Electric field is associated with the capacitor. The total deficiency or excess of electrons in a body is known as charge. The potential gradient across the material of low permittivity is then across the material of high permittivity greater. A capacitor having capacitance of 5 microfarad is charged to a potential difference of 10,000 volts. The energy stored in the capacitor is 250 joules. The number of Faraday tubes of flux passing through a surface in an electric field is called electric flux. Two infinite parallel plates 10 mm apart have maintained between them a potential difference of so volt. The acceleration of an electron placed between them is 1.7 cross 1015 m by s square. The phenomenon of an uncharged body getting a charge merely by the nearness of a charged body is known as induction. The relative permittivity has the following unit: Weber per m. A unit tube of flux is known as tube Faraday. The value of E within the field due to a point charge can be found with the help of Coulomb's law. At a point is equal to the negative potential gradient at a point. At that point, electric intensity, dielectric strength decreases with increasing thickness. Electric intensity at any point in an electric field is equal to the at that point potential gradient. The unit of dielectric strength is given by V by m. Electric displacement is a vector quantity. Capacitance is that property of a capacitor which delays any change of voltage across it. 1 volt is the same as 1 joule per coulomb. Which medium has the least dielectric strength? Air. Permittivity is expressed in farad per meter. In a capacitor voltage gradient is maximum at the surface of the conduction. The property of a capacitor to store electricity is called its capacitance. A capacitor of FIF is connected in series with a resistance of 8000. The time constant of the circuit is 0.8 seconds. The time constant of an RC circuit is defined as the time during which capacitor charging voltage actually rises to final percent of its value. Dielectric strength of a material depends on moisture content, temperature, thickness. 1 voltmeter is same as 1 Newton per meter. The bridge used for the measurement of the value of the capacitance is shearing bridge. The capacitance between two plates increases with large plate area and shorter distance between plates. If an ohmmeter reading immediately goes practically to zero and stays there, capacitor is short circuited. The capacitance C is charged through a resistance R. The time constant of the charging circuit is given by RC. Microcapacitors are characterized by all of the following except low leakage reactance. An uncharged capacitor conductor is charged near a charged conductor, then the uncharged conductor gets charged by induction and then attracted toward the charging body. Paper condenser is usually a fixed value. Out of the following capacitors of identical rating, which will have smallest dimension? Ceramic capacitor. The presence of an uncharged conductor near a charged one increases the capacity of the charged conductor. Which of the following statement is correct? Electrolytic capacitor must be connected in correct polarity. For a good 0.05 microfarad capacitor, a meter reading should low resistance momentarily and back off to a very high resistance. The ohm meter reading for a short circuited capacitor is 0. An electrolytic capacitor is generally made to provide large value of capacitance. A positive and a negative charge are initially 50 mm apart when they are more close together so that they are now only 10 mm apart. The force between them will be 5 times larger than before. A condenser suitable for DC only is plated poled aluminum electrolyte condenser. A capacitor is a circuit component that opposes the change in circuit voltage. Which of the following capacitor is preferred case in case of single phase motor? Electrolytic capacitor. For making a capacitor, it is better to select a dielectric having high permittivity. A charge which when placed in vacuum form an equal and similar charge repels with a force of 9 cross 10 Newton is known as microcoulomb. If a third equal and similar charge is placed between two equal and similar charge, then this third charge will remain in stable equilibrium. Which of the following capacitor preferred for high frequency circuits? Microcapacitor. In order to remove static electricity from machinery, ground the framework. A region around a stationary electric charge has an electric field. The electric strength of a medium is usually expressed in the kilovolt mm. Which is the most superior dielectric out of the following? Bakelite. To prevent the generation of static charge on rubber or flat leather, conductive dressing is done. In a capacitor, the electric charge is stored in dielectric. The minimum value of potential gradient in a cable occurs in insulation. The electric strength of medium, a potential of 400 volt is applied to a capacitor, the plates of which are 4 mm apart. The strength of electric field is so kV per amp. What will happen to an insulating medium if voltage more than the breakdown voltage is applied on it? It will get punctured or cracked. A capacitor consists of two conductors separated by an insulator. The time constant and RC circuit may also be defined as the time during which the charging current falls to 70% of its initial maximum value. At a point may be defined as equal to the lines of force passing normally through a unit cross section at that point. Electric intensity. A single core cable used on 33,000 volt has conductor diameter 10 mm and the internal diameter of shed 25 mm. The maximum electrostatic stress in the cable is 72.105 V/m. Capacitors are used for audio frequency and radio frequency coupling and tuning. Mica. The unit of vacuum charge density or coulomb per meter. Each of the following capacitor will have the least value of breakdown voltage? Electrolytic. Which capacitor will be physically smaller for the same rating? Ceramic capacitor. A mica capacitor and a ceramic capacitor both have the same physical dimension, which will have more value of capacitance. Ceramic capacitor. The capacity of a capacitor bank used in power factor correction is expressed in terms of kVAR. The relative permittivity of free space is given by 1. A gangue condenser is a variable capacitor. The unit of capacitance is farad. Air capacitors are generally available in the range 10 to 400 picofarad. Air capacitors are generally available in the range 10 to 400 picofarad. A capacitor charged to 200 volt has 2000 IC of charge. The value of capacitance will be 10 microfarad. Capacitance increases with increase in plate area and decrease in distance between the plates. In a capacitive circuit, an increase in applied voltage makes a capacitor charge. The dissipation factor of a good dielectric is of the order of 0.0002. Three capacitors, each of the capacity C, are given. The resultant capacity 2/3C can be obtained by using them 2 in parallel and third in series. With this combination, the sparking between two electrical contacts can be reduced by inserting a capacitor in parallel with contacts. Which of the following statement is incorrect? The stored energy in a capacitor decreases with the reduction in value of capacitance. In the case of a lossy capacitor, its series equivalent resistance value will be large. Which of the following capacitor has relatively shorter shelf life? Electrolytic capacitor. Which of the following expression is correct for electric field strength? E is equal to D by E. Which of the following statement is true? The current in the discharging capacitor grows exponentially. Which of the following material has the highest value of dielectric constant? Oil. For which of the following parameter variation the capacitance of the capacitor remains unaffected? Thickness of the plates. Which of the following capacitor will have the least variation? For which of the following parameter variation the capacitance of the capacitor remains unaffected? Thickness of the plates. Which of the following capacitor will have the least variation? Silver plated microcapacitor. In a capacitor, the electric charge is stored in a dielectric. The total electric flux through any closed surface surrounding charge is equal to the amount of I charge enclosed. The above statement is associated with Gauss's law. Two plates of a parallel plate capacitor, after being charged from a constant voltage source, are separated apart by means of insulated handles. Then the voltage across the plates decreases. Voltage applied across a ceramic dielectric produces an electrolytic field so times greater than air. What will be the value of dielectric constant? So, which of the following statement is correct? Electrolytic capacitor must be connected in the correct polarity. If AC voltage is applied to capacitive circuit, the alternating current can flow in the circuit because varying voltage produces the charging and discharging current. A dielectric material must be an insulator. The capacitance of a capacitor is not affected by thickness of the plates. The unit of capacitance are coulombs per volt. If a three 10 microfarad capacitor are connected in parallel, the net carrier is 330 UE. An electrolytic capacitor can be used for DC only. Which of the following is not a vector? Angular momentum. The lines of force due to charge particle are always curved. If the sheet of a backlight is inserted between the plates of an air capacitor, the capacitance will increase. A capacitor stores 0.24 coulombs at 10 volts. Its capacitance is 0.0224 farad. If three 15 microfarad capacitors are connected in series, the net capacitance is 5 microfarad. A capacitor stores 0.24 coulombs at 10 volts. Its capacitance is 0.024 farad. The direction of electric field due to zero positive charge is away from the charge. The electric field intensity at a point situated 4 meters from a point charge is 200 N by C. If the distance is reduced to 2 meters, the field intensity will be 800 N by C. The electric field at a point situated at a distance d from straight charge conductor is inversely proportional to d. A field line and an equipotential surface are always at 90 degrees. The force between two charges is b Newton. If the distance between the charge is doubled, the force will be 30 Newton. The ability of a charged body to exert force on 6 Ne in other is attributed to the existence of electric field.